Yes, you're going to have people turn their backs, but it's time for us to keep it real. Just keep talking that real, bro. Do what you do. I know what you do, so keep doing that. Talk the real.
The HBI lads will see you now. See you now. See you now.
I don't want to cause no problems. I just want to live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense.
And we're back. HBI podcast, health, business, and in between. My name is Dr. Nathan Bridger. I am a chiropractor and strength and conditioning coach working out of North Fremantle Chiropractic in North Fremantle. And I am joined, as always, by the man, the myth. If you're on video, he's got old Greg in the background, which is just weird. Physiotherapist, Ben Humphries. How are we, you creepy looking man?
I'm good, mate. I'm very good.
That's what we like to hear. And normally, we would be joined by the shining assassin that is myotherapist Mina Garris, but Mina double booked himself live on camera too before, so we should have recorded that just so we can play him off, but he is not joining us. But in his place is a rather more handsome man, if I do say myself, has a better beard than Mina, has more hair than Mina. Basically, it's going to be paying out on Mina Day. But the legend himself, osteopath, Dr. Daniel Kirkbride. How are we, my friend?
Good, mate. Sorry I'm late, but made it eventually.
That's it, mate. Like you said,
All
if
good.
you're running 1 minute late, you might as well be running 30 minutes late because the traffic's going to get you. Everything's going to get in the way, right?
Mate, the elevator, the traffic,
The charger, mate. It's all going on.
The old lady in the door, mate, all happening. Well, you are our first official guest on the HBI podcast. So exciting
Number
times.
one.
Congratulations. The plaque's in the mail.
You're a winner.
Congratulations on coming down to the bottom. So I thought we all thought that you would be the perfect first guest because obviously between us, there's physio, there's chiro, there's myo, and then the most common question I think probably all of us get is, what is osteopathy? And we were chatting just before that how all of us give the usual sort of soundbite on what we understand it to be. But I think I'm really excited today to hear it directly from someone who is an osteopath who is in the trenches to really tell us what's going on. So, mate, do you want to give everyone a little bit of background, tell them a bit about yourself, and then maybe give us a little bit about what is osteopathy?
all right. No pressure. Flying the flag.
Right, they're listening.
So I mean, my background, I started off as a PT straight out of high school. Did that pretty much all the way throughout when I was at uni starting to be an osteo, so almost probably like 7 years now and as a PT coach. Going into my second year as an osteo, so still pretty fresh, I guess, in terms of the osteo world, but in the whole scheme of things, I guess, like working with people, running a business, doing, rehab, strength conditioning, that's been around for a while. So yeah, I opened my own clinic last year. It's been going pretty well. Still navigating how to integrate things, I guess, from my perspective of trying to, I've been on my own essentially from day one. So it's been challenging trying to figure out, where I fit in the whole scheme of things and where like osteo fits in the whole scheme of things, I guess. But especially these days, I guess everyone's kind of hybridizing into these kind of weird practitioners. And it's like, as much as we try and compartmentalize like physio, chiro, osteo, myo, it's like, well, I'd say none of us, including me now, really fit into the conventional model anymore. Like we're all very hybrids of the same, and like you probably couldn't really differentiate us other than our weird personalities. Like what we do is very similar.
The beards.
Yeah, the beard. So yeah, I mean, I guess if we talked about osteo, like my understanding at uni, which has kind of changed a little bit, I guess, to how things are now, is like when we talked about it in first year and we talk about like back in the day, 1800s, like Andrew Taylor Still, who's the guy that created osteo in America. It was a very, I mean, everyone loves throwing the word holistic around, but I think like back in the day, the way he explained it was very like, it's pretty much, integration of all the different systems in the body and try to understand dysfunction and disease from that standpoint. And then using the passive interventions as a modality to kind of reset the systems to try and allow the body to heal. So at uni, we get taught osteo is basically three principles. The body is a unit, structure and function are interrelated, and the body has its own healing capacity and healing mechanisms. So essentially, all we're trying to do is remove any blockages that we find in the body from all the systems. So we're not just looking at musculoskeletal system, but also, the lymphatic system, the circulatory system, and the nervous system, looking at essentially the structure and potentially moving any blockages that are slowing down the healing process. So I guess it kind of relates, like for me on surface value, probably similarly to your values, Nathan, as a chiro, like in terms of you guys are looking at more like my understanding is you're looking at the function of the nervous system and how structure might be, impeding nerve flow and nerve function, which is then causing, pain or dysfunction, rather than osteo is kind of the same, but we're also thinking about the integration of other systems as well in terms of the whole body. But then it's interesting because like first year, that's what we get taught. And like if you read up on traditional osteopathy, that's pretty much what it's saying. But then as you go through uni and then the way you get spat out of uni is like you almost become holistic, but like holistic in one dimension, being like the biomechanical musculoskeletal model. So it's interesting how it's like evolutionized from how it started to like most osteo, physio, chiro these days is like, there's a few out there that may be truly holistic, but most of us are like holistic in one dimension, I feel. Like someone comes in, they have shoulder pain, it's like, we'll look at their whole body, but we don't really consider like all the other systems that are happening.
Yeah, 100%. I think you said a heap of good stuff in there, which I'm happy to break down. First of all, coming out as your first year, starting a business and doing all the things you've done is pretty big, man. So I want to say congrats on that firstly. Also, I love that breakdown of the and that's how I wasn't taught, but that's how I operate now. Is we are trying to remove the blockages that are preventing the healing from occurring. So I've become a whole lot more obsessed with how the body heals and how the body works, especially through the nervous system and all the healing sort of processes that take place. And that's why I really like regenerative medicine, like PRP, platelet-rich plasma injections, human growth hormone injections, stem cells. I'm really obsessed with like structure and function and what is the bloody healing capacity of this structure, and can I as a physiotherapist even bloody unblock this blockage that has occurred, or can I even affect the joint or the structure on that level to cause any sort of healing? So I think that's a really good breakdown of how you look at things. And then also to touch on the point you raised on being holistic, like you're right, like people will say they're holistic in the way they treat. That's like maybe you're systemic, you're looking at the whole body, but you're only looking at the one or two, musculoskeletal system, or you're looking, purely probably just at that system. Whereas, as you said, you're looking at more circulatory system, nervous system, musculoskeletal system, and then integrating several systems that you can influence into your treatment. So, man, that was good.
Man, that was awesome, man. And like, it's funny, just to jump on what Ben just said there. Yeah, it's people often claim to be holistic, but they're holistic in their part, right? It's like, and we see it in all avenues, whether it's us as allied health practitioners or your medical specialists. I remember one of the doctors I spoke to, they said the only way, if you're in trouble, always go to emergency because they look at everything. Never pay big money to see a specialist because they'll just tell you their part's fine, but it doesn't mean that all the parts are fine. And it was a really interesting idea, right? And we see it constantly where, I see it in my industry all the time. Cara, we're all holistic, but we're holistic, but everything comes back apparently to the same problem. And you're like, well, that doesn't seem realistic.
Doesn't translate very well.
Yeah, man. And so, and it's funny, like you said there, Dan, like I could have basically just replaced osteopathy with chiropractic in terms of the way you were taught and understanding. Like it's funny how similar. It almost feels like two mates that, because they both started in America around the similar times, that two mates were just like, no, that's a stupid name. I'm calling it this.
And I want to be the boss more like it. Said, you do your thing, bro, I'll do mine, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, osteo, that sounds shit. Like, what about chiro? That means hands. It's funny, right? Like, and I think the other thing there that sadly would even surprise people for both our professions is that we went to uni. I mean, how many people still think that you did like a weekend course to become a professional?
Weird gypsy doctor.
Oh,
it's
man.
Insulting.
It's the best, right? They're like, yeah, you would have to go to uni for like a year or something, right? And you're like, 6. Yeah, full time. But cool. Thanks.
Look at my hex debt. It doesn't lie.
Yeah, listen, if we want to stack them together, we're in trouble, right? Like,
Yeah.
ridiculous. So I think one of the things we want to talk, so obviously there's a foundation of what osteo is.
Mm.
Obviously you're not the average osteo, right? You're different in your style and what you're doing. So do you want to run through people, how do you think you're different within your industry, or do you think you're different within your industry?
Just compared to the traditional, right? The traditional.
Well, compared to the most common, I guess.
Yeah, that's better.
I'm going to do 2 things. One, in terms of like just the add-ons, because I just had a really good thought in terms of osteo. So the reason I was explaining it that way too is because like the last 6 months, like when I first came out, I definitely got stuck in the model of like biomechanics is everything, like movement is everything. Like obviously it's a big piece of the puzzle, but like coming from the PT background, is to see it was always like, you know, I can cure cancer with deadlifts if I make someone's lift. You know? Like, I didn't consider
rehab happy.
Yeah, it was like if they train better and like fix their biomechanics, everything gets better. And it's like you start to get people with like chronic pain or health comorbidities and all these other like health issues where it's like the musculoskeletal presentation is like almost just like a facade for what's happening underneath. So I started to try and think, oh, there's more to it, and like my model's not working for everyone like it used to, because I'm starting to attract people who are getting, I don't know, for whatever reason, started to attract a lot of like chronic pain patients and stuff like that. So went down and started studying a lot of stuff with Stop Chasing Pain and like got into that functional medicine, alternative medicine, integrative medicine, whatever you want to call it, witchery, Chinese medicine.
Weekend course.
Yeah. And that kind of, and learning a lot of stuff there was like, well, it was awesome, but that started making me like look into the roots of osteo. And then like, that was when I was reading it and I was like, literally what people are teaching in functional medicine is like what osteo used to be. But now it's like, these days you literally like, you can't tell the difference between physio, chiro and osteo, because it's literally, we're all just like musculoskeletal therapists. So that was when I started being like, well, if you want to be true osteo, like I've got to go learn all this other stuff and get a better knowledge of all these other systems. Because at the moment I feel like I'm amazing in that system at what I do and I can get people strong and pain free. But like if someone comes in and they've got a shopping list of comorbidities, it's like, I don't know what to do. And they go see the GP and maybe they'll get some medicine or maybe they'll get some testing and it tells them they're fine, but they're clearly not fine. It's like there's this massive gap between like our allied health industry, but then the GP industry. And then there's like this little gray area of people who just don't get better because we don't have the skills to handle it. But then the GPs are very like reductionist approach. And then it's, they
get stuck in the washing machine, right? Like just spinning in, spinning out. And those are the crew too, sadly, that tend to get taken advantage of because they're the ones end up buying the miracle cure, right? Like that the person with zero education and probably a lot of skin hanging out on Instagram selling this magical program that fixes everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. The washing machine, the merry-go-round, it's actually, I find it like I'm not an angry kind of guy, but I get very up in arms with practitioners who, you know, from the outside looking, maybe in my eyes, the way I look at an unethical practitioner or a practitioner who's not working as ethical as they could be is like, man, if you want to be the most ethical practitioner, you know, you got to be ethical by our standards. But I'm like, the most ethical practitioner to me is the one who is interested, passionate, who studies, who just understands completely what is going on, and they're pushing the boundaries. They're always asking the questions. They're always learning more and more. And I find that, to me, one of the most educated practitioners and one who's really, truly interested and is compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic with the person, to me, I believe is the most ethical practitioner. Because if, for example, what I do, if I don't know, and I'm learning shit every day, like I've made sure I've aligned myself with people who do know. So even if I can't fix you, I know like experts in these other fields who will definitely be able to fix you. And because they are experts, they know other experts. And if they don't know how to fix you, then you eventually will find the person who will solve the problem. But I believe that, you know, it's our duty as practitioners. If you don't know what you're doing, or you can't help the person to the most efficient and effective way possible, you need to, it's your duty then to push them on and not operate within the, you know, the greed or the scarcity or the financial sort of, you know, approach, and try and hang on to those and fucking come back 3 times a week, do your Pilates session. It's just, to me, it's a bit of a rort.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've got the opposite problem, which is also, I think, an issue as well.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Undersurfacing is just as bad as overservicing, right? Like,
yeah.
and that's the classic healthcare practitioner dilemma, wanting to help everybody, but not wanting to come off like a salesman, right?
Yeah, it's like a real balance between your sales and the way you practice.
Yeah.
It's an interesting model though, because like I was talking to a mate the other day about this in terms of the whole allied health model, and I feel like it's a little bit. I feel like the model doesn't help our situation where it's like when I was a PT, I'd be seeing people like once a week, twice a week, consistently, and it's like if I want to get someone a result, I know it's going to take time. So it's okay for me to see someone once a week, twice a week for 6 months and no one frowns upon it. But if you see someone more than like once a week for 6 weeks as an osteo or physio, it's like, oh, he just keeps making you come back like he didn't fix you. And it's like, well, I can easily get someone pain-free in 3-4 sessions, maybe 6 if they're really, acute or something. But it's like, why is it frowned upon in our industry to work with people over long periods of time when you know that if you're genuinely trying to help them and get them beyond pain-free and actually go into more health and performance, it's like, well, health and performance isn't going to get fixed over 4 weeks. It's going to get fixed over 6 months probably. But there's no like avenue to go there without being like sleazy or salesman or like, because I've started doing that at my clinic and I've changed the model a bit. And like people are always like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like, why are you offering me shit? I just want to be like pain-free and like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right.
If I was a PT and they'd come and see me as a PT, they're almost kind of expecting that like, oh yeah, like I want to lose weight, like, oh, I want to fix my back pain, like it's going to take a few months. But they come see you as a allied health practitioner and there's all this weird sort of aura around like
The stigma and
yeah,
it's like and that's what we talk about a lot, like, because we're all health practitioners, and I believe health practitioners should be trained in sales and marketing for sure, because a good salesman as a health practitioner is usually going to, if they've got the right intentions and the right motives, they're going to make sure that they estimate the correct amount of sessions and they make sure the client buys into those sessions, however you might want to package it up. Whatever your process may be, but it's actually in the best interest of the client for them to come back for those, a suggested amount of times. And it's a fine balance between not being too pushy on the sales, but also like being honest enough and your communication skills are good enough to go, well, look, you've tried this and this before. You've seen this physio over here. You saw this guy over here, said you still got the same problem 2 years later. So why don't we just do these sessions, because I believe this is what you need, and we should have a good progression or reduction in your symptoms, progression in your function on the way to this endpoint that I've suggested you have. And I think if you come across honest and truthful and you've got a good reputation for getting people better, then people buy into that.
Yeah. I think the challenge, as we all know, though, it's bang on and correct, but people forget way too quickly where they were and often can't see where they're going. And that's I often laugh at a story I had when I was in South America, where I literally had a guy who was carried into me by his son, about 60s, couldn't walk. And, we adjusted him. He was able to walk out, still in a lot of pain. 2 weeks later, out of pain. And we're working towards obviously making sure this doesn't happen again. We get to the 3rd week and he turns to me. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to come back because I'm not getting any better. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm the same as I was like start of the week. I'm like, you got carried in 3 weeks ago. You couldn't even walk. He's like, oh shit. Yeah. Like just completely forgot that not even 2 weeks ago that he had been unable to walk and thought he hadn't gotten any better. And I think we've been conditioned to believe it. I think where we're suffering as allied health is from the pill from every ill, like methodology that's sort of come in over the last 50 years, right? Like you've got a problem, take this pill because it'll make the problem disappear. And it doesn't necessarily fix it, but it masks it, right? And so people just assume
no effort.
Yeah, the living in a state of just constant not feeling pain is performance. And explaining that difference, and because performance is such a subjective thing in most times, that we can try and be as objective as possible, but in most cases it's very subjective. And so people know if they have pain or not. but it's very hard for someone to to really buy in at times and go, oh yeah, sweet. In 6 months, I'm going to be able to hit that 180 kilo bench press. I'm going to be able to, squat that. I'm going to be able to run that marathon. It's such a different process. And you're right, like sales is a huge part of it. But I think the outside world is the biggest challenge because it's usually their friends that are like, oh, why are you still going, right? Or why are you doing that? Or the parents are like, why are you still going that place? Oh, I should have fixed you in one go. When I
went there and I got fixed in 2 sessions. This is bullshit.
Okay. That's Jesus right there. That's who you're talking about.
Well, mate. But Dan is running that kind of beard right now, so we'll allow it. Well, let's talk before we go down.
Question before? Sorry, I went on a tangent. I think it was about osteo and how do I fit into the osteo model?
Yeah, well, sort of like in your, I guess,
your service, I think.
Your service, your treatment methodology. Do you think that, so if let's say tomorrow I'm going to call up Johnny B Osteo around the corner and go for a session. Johnny B. How do you think I'm going to be seeing similar to you, or do you think it's going to be quite different?
I think on face value it might be pretty similar. I feel like
this is where you sell yourself.
He's like, nah, they're shit. They're all shit.
Come to me. Fuck Johnny.
I think like on face value, like I'm being honest about pumping tires or anything, like with face value it's probably pretty similar because I guess the way that I operate is over a big picture rather than in the session. And in the session it's like I do traditional style osteo where it's manual therapy, combination of some soft tissue manipulation, mobilization, like all the standard osteopathic techniques I would definitely do, because I guess from my point of view it's like the first few sessions for me is basically, pain relief, get a result, get them moving, get them essentially to their, get them back to their starting point. So then when I go into my hybrid, weird, I'm different to everyone mode and start doing the rehab, it's like, well, that's when I can start to differentiate myself. So I'd say the first few points is pretty, standard, but then it's once we get to that point, well, then I'd say the way I practice is probably a little bit different because I like to go into obviously the S&C side, the program, but also probably down that more, holistic health route and do a bit of the alternative stuff that might be a little bit frowned upon, but I feel like works really well. So yeah, I'd say that probably summarizes it.
Yeah, that's a good blend. To summarize, because for people listening, we've got practitioners like ourselves, but we've also got a lot of our clients listening. I'm assuming a lot of your clients will listen to this. So, and they obviously know what you do. So would you say you're more a blend, osteopath, cross strength and conditioning coach?
Yeah, so I'd say if you mixed an osteo and S&C coach together and an aspiring, functional medicine student, you'd probably get a mix of me. But I'd say that's just the way I like to do things. Is I think with the whole model about being holistic, it doesn't make sense just to do one or the other, and it's just trying to aspire to be how osteo used to be rather than how I feel it is now. Because I feel
in saying that, sorry to jump on you there, Dan, that would be your major, I guess, stand apart is that strength conditioning mindset within osteo.
Yeah.
Nutrition, functional medicine. Yeah.
All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm still early stages with all the functional medicine, nutrition stuff. I wouldn't really say that's a differentiating point at this point in time. That's just something that's
complementary.
Yeah, it's a complementary thing that I'm interested in. That in 5 years' time, I'd like to be able to say that I can use that title and be proficient in that area. But I'd say at this point in time, the reason people would come to me would be the S&C background. Understand lifting, understand programming, and I'd probably back myself against most people in terms of that field.
Yeah, no, good. Awesome. And I do notice the lights are playing up on you. I do notice as well, obviously, you've been doing some education or educating people. Do you want to tell everybody a bit about that?
Yeah, that's been cool, man. I really enjoyed that. So I started off pretty innocently. Did some seminars kind of probably about 12 months ago now. Literally just started doing a free one at Good Life that I used to work at. They asked me to come in, just teach trainers about some rehab and kind of upskill them a bit because they felt like they weren't really at the level, I guess. So I just did it for a bit of fun, enjoyed it, and then built out a few kind of, it was literally $10, $20 seminars, 5-10 people there, just a bit of fun experience. Didn't really know what I was doing. And then, eventually that's escalated pretty fast. Did a few interstate ones that sold out. And then was meant to do 3 before COVID. Had one in Sydney, Adelaide, and Melbourne that were all sold out. Was really keen to go, and then old mate COVID kicked me in the ass. So I had to kind of
shit.
Yeah, I was really excited too because I guess that was the first time I'd really felt like I'd done the content, delivered it 5-6 times, I had a good idea around time and what I was going to present the target market and done some, marketing and all that. But it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I guess, made me pivot really fast. That famous word in COVID, pivot. I ended up thinking, well, shit, I've got all these seminars. Still want to deliver the content, but also don't want to have to to be honest, give $10,000 of refunds for people's tickets because through Eventbrite. If you guys have used Eventbrite before, you get paid and the money gets held there and you don't get paid till after the event, and then it's just it's a bit of a shit show. So it's kind of all this money sitting there that the client didn't have, I didn't have, and then the event got cancelled, so it was all paused and the money wouldn't get given until after COVID had finished. So I was
sitting there.
Yeah, so I was if I had to give out refunds, it would have been 10-15 grand out of my own pocket, and I just closed the clinic. And I was well, clinic's closed. I owe 15 grand in tickets to people, and I can't deliver my seminar. Fuck, I've got to do something. So,
fuck me, right?
I was just hustle. So I decided, well, I'll turn it into an online mentorship, which was for me it was a goal of mine for another 12 months. My goal was this year I was going to run seminars 3 times a year, and then build up a bit of reputation, I guess, and then start an online mentorship. But yeah, my hand got forced pretty fast, and I literally got on the phone and started selling it to people 2 days after COVID happened. I hadn't had any content prepared, nothing. It was all just in my head. Said it's starting in 2 weeks' time. Signed up 20 people and then built out the content, and it's been amazing. It's a nice little blend of personal trainers and allied health, and response has been really good. Just finished up my my final call yesterday with the guys who were doing it. And yeah,
that's awesome. That's that's no easy feat to to be able to not what you're in your second year of being osteo, run a business, pivot, change, have all your courses built out, and you've not you've just started running, man. So you got 12 months under your belt, and that's almost when you first started working as an osteo. And then to go, oh fuck, what do I do next? And that's showing your business IQ. You've just gone bang, pivot here, pivot here. You've had to pivot several times, whereas most people have just had to dodge sort of one sort of thing. So, man, that's actually impressive. So, well done.
Cheers, man. I feel like it's been. I started my business February 25th, and I feel like it's been 5 years, not 1.
That's how it ages you.
Yeah, that's right.
I've moved clinics 3 times. I've had to pivot from online to this. But I mean, it's all been fun. I guess, yeah, it's awesome experience to be able to do it, and also just from a personal point of view, it's been nice to realize I can do the things I want to do. Because before that, it was probably a case of I'm going to do it, but I'll just perfect this first. 6 months later, it's not ready yet, and it would never have happened. So I think COVID was the kick in the ass I needed to actually figure.
Nothing like putting your back against the wall to really make you take action, right?
Yeah,
speed over perfection, as the famous Gary Vee says. So it's good, bro.
What's the other one? It's that book. It's ready, aim, shoot, fire, or something.
Yeah. It's shoot, aim, fire kind of thing, where you're too many people with the paralysis by analysis, right? Where you're just I just need to get it a little bit better before I tell anyone. And I think you do it right. I remember my business coach always used to say, he's don't write the talk until at least 20 people are booked in.
Yeah, legit.
He's because otherwise you can have all the best talks in the world, but if no one's coming to see him, he's organize the event, make sure people are booked in, then write it. I guarantee you it'll be ready.
Sell.
Legit. Well, between you and me, I guess it's not between you and me because we're on a podcast, but yeah.
yeah. No, it's between you and me.
Literally the first 4 weeks, I was pretty much pumping out content on the Friday to be released Monday, and it was the most exciting thing is when I have time to write content, how good it's going to be, because I've been writing content 2 days before it's been released, smashing coffee and bloody my dashboard and trying to
loving life.
But yeah, no, it's been pretty good. So I guess the actual content mentorship itself, yeah, it's a 10-week online program designed for, I don't really know who it was designed for. I had a blend of, it ended up being 50-50 allied health. So there's some physios, ex-phys, osteos, and then some PTs, coaches, more the S&C coaches, I guess, more advanced. So yeah, it's been a good blend of people, and yeah, the content's been really cool. And then I've got a second one opening up on July 13th, which will be the second intake. So got like a 3-week gap to just fine tune things a bit and have a bit of a break and actually sleep, which will be nice. And then start round 2.
You're preaching to the choir, mate, especially Nath at the moment.
Yeah.
It's all the fun stuff, man.
The question on that.
Nope, man, just
It'll come back to me. I blanked. And go again.
No, I was going to say, so one of the big things I think we need to... Oh, Ben's jumped in. All right, go ahead.
Are you still practicing osteo?
Yeah, 100%.
What's your split at the moment?
I mean, it's changed a lot since pre-COVID. Before pre-COVID, I was probably doing like 40 sessions a week, and it was pretty much here all day. Now I've pretty much split it up like 9 to 12 in the mornings, like online kind of coaching, programming, mentoring, like all that stuff. And then I'm in the clinic 4 till 7, 3 nights a week. And then Friday, Saturday, I'm in 9 to 12. So I'm doing about 15 hours, 18 hours of clinic, and then about 12 hours of coaching, education online. And the rest of my time is just general business shit that needs to be done.
Yeah. Awesome, bro. That's a good split. That's definitely what I'm aspiring to do. Less sessions and more on the content generation, course generation, educational route. So yeah, that's good, bro.
I feel like I'm more present too, which is good, because like when I was seeing 40, 50, it was like just, yeah, like as you would know, you just get a lot of, your brain, I can't even speak well, but your brain just gets fried. But now I'm probably only seeing like 20, 25 a week, and I just feel like I'm servicing a lot better and like a lot more present, less kind of rushed and like shit, back to back to back. Like, yeah, like, that's awesome. I'd love to listen to you, but like your time's up. Next one, like, got to go.
Yeah, 100%.
Out and spend more time on the protocols after the session, and just make sure people get results rather than just churning through numbers.
Yeah, I get that.
Not that I churn through, like, always, same as you. Like, obviously we
all busy, yeah.
Need, but it's like trying to give 60 people attention versus 20 people attention is.
And then try to run the business, and then trying to run your personal life, and then Nate's, run family life, man. It's very hard, and Nath uses the best analogies. Like it's how many plates can you spin at once, and how well can you spin each plate? It's like, yeah, it's a really good analogy. Yeah. So
sometimes
true.
Sometimes you got to let a plate drop, right? You just got to see what's servicing you and what's not. So one of the questions I always like to ask, but it's something I have to ask people outside of this, even though he's our first guest. In your opinion, like one of the things we talk about a lot, obviously, is the health industry as a whole, and I would include, I think social media and its influence on the health industry as a whole. Where do you see it in your mind? Obviously, we all know there's some positives and there's some negatives, but for you, how do you feel about it, and where do you see potentially some of the dangers?
Well, I need to reword that.
All right, so let me put it this way. So
I didn't get that either.
Mate, I'm gonna replay this, and I bet I totally understand what I said. What I mean by that, right? So because a lot of us have gone digital with our education, with you've got an online course, we're putting out social media content, Instagram, Facebook. There's a lot of information going into the marketplace, and obviously the barrier to entry is extremely low. Do you think social media for the health industry has been a positive thing? And as an adjunct to that, where do you see, or what grinds your gears, or where do you see the potential issues with it?
Okay, yeah. So
it's better.
Yeah, cool. So like, what's the benefit? Yeah. I think social media is, it goes both ways. It's the same as the fitness industry, really. Like, I think if anything, I feel like it's pushed us forward like 20 years in terms of our industry, which I think is a massive positive. I think obviously, the barrier to entry can be low and people can definitely capitalize on it. But at the end of the day, like, you're always going to get good, some shit with the good in any industry, and especially with online, just because anyone can go out there and get some, business coach and learn marketing and sales and kind of pretend they're better than what they are. So it's like, well, that's always going to be part and parcel of it. But I think like for guys like you and me, us and Mina and, people who are genuinely good practitioners who just have previously not had the opportunity to leverage their business or to be able to deliver a service in a manner that they can these days. Yeah. I think it's super beneficial for both the business aspect as business owners, but also from the consumer point of view, because we know, from our point of view that, our sessions are important, but like 90% of the results that happen with people is going to be external to the sessions with the education and all the stuff we provide. And I think from my point of view, the biggest thing I did with my coaching as well was like, you're always face to face and you're limited. Like obviously, Ben, you know, with like the PTs, obviously you have some PTs that work with you. Like you can only see so many people in a week. You only have so much time in a week. And you just end up saying the same thing back to back each week to the same people all the time, and just waste a lot of your time, resources you could be spending elsewhere. So for me, it's like, well, if you can have this online setup now where you can pretty much streamline and leverage all that information and education side of things into some sort of portal, it means that you've got more time to then service people and provide value, which is good for everyone and good for you. But then also from a client perspective, it's like, instead of them having to try and get 110% of information out of you in that half an hour, they now have a bunch of information they can get access to when it suits them, watch it as many times as they want, get an actual deep understanding of it, which means they're going to get a better result because it's going to liaise well with the 30-minute treatment you did, rather than just back in the day where it was like, all I can do is treat you and then good luck trying to navigate social media.
Yeah.
So I think that's the positive, but then I guess the negative is obviously there's always going to be a small percentage of people who are going to try and capitalize on it for the wrong reasons and just try to make money and just do dumb shit and post dumb content and just sell snake oil. But like, I think the benefit outweighs the negative in terms of that. And I think it's an awesome opportunity for a lot of people. And like COVID's pretty much, shown that to everyone. Like, I'm not the only example of it. There's plenty of guys I know in clinics as well who have been stuck in the face-to-face model, smashing out sessions. And it's like, now that people are starting to think laterally of like, oh, well, I can't treat people. Like, how can I still service and how can I still do these things? And like, people who weren't open and willing to do it are now trying it. And then from the consumer point of view, people who weren't willing to try online are now willing to try it. And it's like, well, we've now realized that we can all do the thing.
Awesome, man.
Am I still here? Oh, sorry, my screen just... I was like, did that just cut off? So
that was a good answer.
Long-winded answer. If I answer the question.
No, I think that's bang on, man.
I like it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to jump in. What do you think's the dumbest shit going on? Because I know for me, it's drawer size. I fucking hate drawer size. It's the dumbest thing in the world.
That was my first
what is it?
experience of you, Nathan.
Really? When I just lost it on it all.
Yeah, like I didn't know who you were. And like, I'd kind of heard your name before, but didn't know who you were. I think you saw one of my clients like 2 years ago. And this is going to make you laugh. Like when I was in fifth year uni, there was a guy, what's his name? Braden Skrunig. He trains at Strong Geelong, really like strong guy.
Yeah, Brandon.
And he told me when I was like still in uni and wanted me to fix his neck or his shoulder. And it was really some real weird case. And I was like fifth year uni at the start and I kind of knew my stuff, but didn't really know my stuff. And he came and saw me and then I fixed him up a bit. And then he's like, oh, I've seen this chiro in Geelong and like he's fixed me in one go. And I'm like, fuck that guy.
What a flog.
Man. And then a few years later, I figured out it was you, and I came across your video, and I saw your Thursday rant about drawer size, jaws size or something.
Yeah,
your page. I'm like, this guy's awesome.
It was an angry time in my life. I had a weekly rant. You can still, if you go deep enough on my Dr. Nathan page, they're all there. But
I love
it.
Oh man,
Nate loves a good rant, bro.
Oh man, you gotta I feel like as human beings, if we don't express what's annoying us at times, it bottles up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What I realized at the time is I just had to unfollow a bunch of things because they were annoying me too much, rather than ranting at them.
Where do we start with dumb things on social media? Though? I think for me, like there's a lot of gadgets and stuff like that, but I think like just people who are very extreme, like not naming names, but like therapists or coaches who are very extreme one way or the other and just preach their agenda. Like I'm all for exercise and movement is great, but I'm also manual therapy and that is great. But then you get these people who are like full shitting on manual therapy, like no manual therapy, anti-manual therapy, anti-cardio, anti-this. It's like,
I can just like, that is
for me, if you're
the pitchforks, that is fucking the flame torches, the pitchforks, like trying to kill you if you do manual therapy.
and then all the other people with the same bias jumping on in the comment section.
Yeah. If your answer isn't it depends and it's a grey area, then you're a shit therapist.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, unfortunately, social media battles become a bit of a circle jerk of each other's followers tugging each other off, trying to yell at each other louder, right? Like, it's a sad truth of it. It's good for traction, isn't it, Ben?
It's fucking brilliant for exposure. You can't go through the roof.
But just some of it's ridiculous, right? I think you're right. Like the gadgets are just, like if you're buying something, think it's going to magically fix or tone your jaw. A shout out again to jaw size. you're an idiot. But some of the, like, I think you're right. Like, it's the definitive. I'm ranting again, aren't I? It's the definitive statements, right? When you see practitioners or coaches of just like, this is the best thing for this, and you're like, well, how can we know? Because is it the best for me? Is it the best for you? Is it the, like, are you mean just from a standard biomechanical model of a human being, theoretically that would be the exercise that would hit this the most? All right.
It sells the best.
Yeah. Like, what's the actual, give me some context. Like, people who make statements in devoid of context, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's always, it's either agenda-based, lack of knowledge-based, or trying to sell you something based.
Yeah.
So I think,
or all three.
Yeah.
And it's
The
where
ultimate combination.
and these gimmicks and gadgets and stuff. I think it's where business, like, you know, just uses the health practitioner as the vehicle to push their thing. It's like, all right, we'll pay you X amount of money if you can push this product, and like they might go like, you know, if they're paying me enough, I actually will promote it, but like it's got to like cross that threshold of like, all right, I still think it's dumb, but hey, I'm gonna get rich off this, so I'm gonna break my own ethics here, and I'm gonna push this thing. So I think it's a combination of the two, but it's more the making money. That's what drives it.
It's the modern day multi-level marketing.
So many ways to make money though. They're just like, just fix your dumb model.
Yeah. Be better.
Yeah.
That takes time.
You're like, what do you mean? I'm 22 and I'm not a millionaire? This is bullshit.
Sweating's horse shit.
I got my degree. I should be a millionaire by now. Why don't I have what? They told me in uni I was going to make 200 grand a year. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Do you, like, obviously I know for all of us, and this is probably where I'm finishing up on you before I go into more long-winded questions, but for all of us, we're really passionate obviously about education, whether it's, you know, the wider health sphere or, you know, the new grads coming through. But I know meeting a lot of newer graduates or people in uni, like, I have some genuine fear about where certain trends are going within the industry. Is that something that you would sort of mirror, or for yourself, are you feeling pretty happy and care for it? Or is that one of the reasons that got you into doing the education, is you were concerned where things were headed?
From a tertiary perspective? Like,
I think it's more from an attitudes perspective. I think the education hasn't changed. I'm concerned where the attitude's going for people coming out of these institutions.
100%. I would say myself to a degree. When I feel like, just from a confidence point of view, I feel like I could back it up, which maybe made me not be in that field. But at the same time, I'd say like there's definitely a bit of overconfidence, arrogance to a lot of the tertiary education, like, and almost just a bit of entitlement as well, like coming out.
Oh, out, bro.
Yeah, I've got my degree. You know, I should be getting, like, the business owner, like, they don't understand business too, or like they haven't got the background in terms of like what it's like to invest, what it's like to run a business. Therefore, it's like when they come out, they just think, well, like, oh, 50-50 is bullshit. Like, I deserve 70-30 and I want weekly tutorials and I want this and that. It's like, mate, I'm sure Ben's the same. I've spent probably 100 grand of education external to uni. Fucking
thousands of hours, bro. Fucking hell. And like,
man, you freaks out here getting 50-50. You bloody hell. Coming down to 40-60 down here.
Yeah. I get less than that from my company.
No, I'm on 24% right now.
Yeah, like, you're right. I get the most heat I get on my social media is from fucking students. I'm like, you motherfucker, you don't even know what you're doing, bro. Like, and you're out here trying to, like, you're casting judgment on me, like I'm the dickhead who's you know, promoting manual therapy, doing this, doing that. Oh, he doesn't do any rehab or anything. I'm like, mate, I put up what sells and what's attention grabbing, and like you're over here in your 3rd year, 3 years of all of your basic tertiary education. You come out here trying to think you're the man and tell me what I'm doing is wrong. Like, it's
like a 10-year-old trying to teach you how to pick up girls in a nightclub.
It's like, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy.
God.
Smile, nod, and just wait. Like, I honestly think, I mean, this is why there's such attrition within the scopes, right? Where people are just like, well, this industry's shit, I'm going elsewhere because it doesn't work. But I think there's a lot of people that must have that, like, come to Jesus moment where they're like, I was a real dick to that person. I should meet, like, they always feel like they should probably reach out and be like, I'm sorry, buddy.
Apologize.
I realize now I was wrong. I was wrong.
That was,
I'm just
that was
publicly humiliated myself.
Yeah. I think me and Ben were talking about it. Well, we've talked about it heaps of times. Like the whole, like in terms of the industry in general, about being very compartmentalized still and like almost pushing towards, you know, an ultimate practitioner. Like it'd be cool. It'll never happen probably because from a uni perspective, like they'd lose millions because there's not, you know, 1,000 students going.
Yeah, like a new course.
Imagine if there was like one that just combined it, because it's like I think that's half the problem is it's like still compartmentalized, and it's like, well, we all do similar things, and realistically we should just have the same principles of anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, understanding of the holistic body, and use our tools in the toolbox to fix the problem. But it's still like you and me are pretty much the same, but we still have a different name, still have different education, but we're kind of trying to do the same thing to the same human. So it'd be cool to have something that was like, why don't we combine a chiro, physio, osteo, myo, S&C coach, functional medicine practitioner, and just get God?
That's what
Strong words there from Dan Kirkbride.
Oh,
you go like Super Saiyan God mode.
Just, I'm gonna turn up next week. I'm gonna have bloody blonde hair. I'm gonna be ready to roll.
Well, I've had the same conversations with you, bro.
Yeah.
And one of my good mates, Dr. Amir Nicole, he's a fantastic sports doctor. He's like the best doctor I know, or one of the best. And I've talked to him about the same thing. I was like, what happens if we created a school and like we'd have also the regenerative and sports medicine perspective as well, because those guys are like the gurus with you know, just injuries that are very complex or just aren't healing with traditional methods. He's like, yeah, that'll take you 12 years to get to that stage. But I'm like, wouldn't that be sick if there was like an ultimate blend of chiro, osteo? I feel like osteos are definitely a really good blend of a lot of things as it is, and then you with your specific functional medicine S&C background definitely makes to me more of a ultimate practitioner. I always thought the ultimate practitioner is I always look at like Nath. Nath is also you're a very good practitioner. You're very good at your specific chiropractic adjustments, but very knowledgeable in the S&C. So you and Dan, I find a very very hybridized, which I love. So, but yeah, you raise a fair point there.
I reckon chiro is shit on everyone in terms of adjustment.
Yeah, if I was to do study again, I'd do chiropractic or sports medicine, not physio.
I always think like, yeah, chiro is best adjustments, myo is best soft tissue, physio is best diagnosis, osteo is probably like best holistic understanding, strength and conditioning coach, best programming.
Absolutely.
And Chinese medicine, best like healing, regeneration.
Osteopathic, yeah.
Put all that together, like the best trait for me. Not saying they're not good at everything. Like obviously osteo still good at adjustments, Nathan's still good at soft tissue, but it's like
it's generalized.
Thing of each practitioner, each field, and put it together. Like that would be sick.
That'd be elite.
Yeah.
Well, guess we're all
close to Jesus.
Guess we've all got to go back to uni then.
So when are we starting this university, boys?
Yeah, we need to create it. Well, that's one of my visions is to have a school of, like, I wouldn't even, like, to be honest with you, I'm pretty far from a physio, as you guys know, and I try to distance myself from like physiotherapy because I just believe it's just shit, and I believe that chiros, osteos, and myos have definitely got it over physios, and that's why I try so hard to be like you guys. But I believe that there should be some postgraduate tertiary education, university, school, or whatever, where we do it on our own or we do it together, and where we just like teach these people just to be like a new, like it would be a new profession, because and that's what I talked to my accountant about. He's like you're not even a physio. He's like you're something else. He's like, there's a new name for you, but there's just not that name. So I believe like that could be an option in the future where we're just, it's a new name. So I'll put it out there.
What do we call it?
You heard it here first. We'll have a naming competition.
Old Greg's Academy.
A lot of Baileys out there. A lot of Baileys.
Come on, Greg.
All right. Mate, well, I guess we are closing up today. Mate, we really appreciate you coming on. Mate,
Thank you, bro.
couldn't have been a better first guest. I apologize for my long-winded questions.
I
Do you want to tell the
answers.
Do you want to tell the people where they can find you? What's the best way to get in contact with you? Let them know.
Sweet. Yes. So best way to contact me would be Facebook or Instagram. It's just Dr. Daniel Kirkbride. And then, yeah, if anyone's interested in terms of some education, July 13th, we'll be having another intake for personal trainers and allied health professionals, all about strength conditioning and exercise rehab, how to blend those two together. So, yeah, feel free to reach out if there's any students out there or aspiring practitioners. Happy to help out.
Easy, bro. We'll plug that.
And I'm not going to let you get away without saying it. Where is your actual clinic, mate? If you're getting the other part.
That thing. Yep, and then also, yeah, Williams Landing Osteopathy and Performance, which is in Williams Landing in Melbourne, about 30 minutes west of the city.
The God's country.
Exciting news, actually.
Oh.
You heard it here first. Haven't told anyone. Literally got off the phone an hour ago. I'm getting an accident.
Oh, big games.
An accident?
Love it.
Yeah, the assessment tool from Strength
Yeah.
Conditioning.
I've been looking at that for months. I'm like, I need that.
Mate.
I can't wait. There's two Osteo and Physio created the product, didn't they?
Yeah, Stevie King.
Yeah, I want to get one of those too. So I'll come around and test it out.
Test it out, mate. And then if you need a tax write-off, you've got 14 days.
I'll
Easy,
tell you
bro.
what. Yeah, I'll send you my numbers. We'll have a fun. We'll see who can pull heavier and break the machine.
You got one as well?
No, I've got a Valve Performance human track, but I have used it with Jack, or Physio Jack, another good friend of the podcast, previously, and it was a challenge between me and a few of the other boys to see if we could max it out on a few of the lifts.
Oh, yeah.
I will give you a hot tip. We did.
About to say, I'm sure you came bloody close.
Mate, I'll be honest, shout out to Big Vern. I don't know if he'll be listening, but pretty sure he maxed it out in like banded external rotation. The dude is a monster.
What the heck? I got some guys who I just got a little fucking digital strength on it. A little digital luggage scale.
Yeah.
That's what I use. And some dudes smash the external rotation like more than my internal rotation. I'm like, what the heck? What is your shoulder fucking built of? I want that.
Mate, I have watched this dude do sets of like 15 on flyers with 50s. So you just like, you look at it and you're like, all right, some of us are just, that's a different species. But shout out to the big dog. All right,
Let's
legend.
wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you for joining in again. HBI Podcast, Health, Business, and In Between. We will have Dan's information in the show notes. If you enjoyed it today, please grab a screenshot, share it on the gram or Facebook, tag us in it. We are always here to help in any way we can. And leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast from. Thank you very much again, Dan. It's an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today.
Thanks, Dan.
Nice.